Getting good, everybody. There's literally fights that are having to be broken up between lawmakers in Congress right now over this government shutdown. I would love to see that happen. Let them go out, let them fight, because people are sick of it, but I'm telling you, it is over. Not only is Trump making things happen on the side of justice for America with the wasteful spending, but he just secured one of the most consequential peace agreements in the Middle East. Even CNN admitted that it couldn't be done under Biden, but Trump's peace through strength has made it come alive, and the strength of the MAGA is real, even in Congress. No more playing around. This is what we voted for, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But he's making sure that we pass even new legislation, because we do not know how long things are going to go in the government shutdown with the Democrats. But Trump said to push forward with using the tariff revenue to take care of everybody when it comes to our seniors on health care and Medicare subsidies, but also with those on Social Security and for our military and troops. He said just use the tariff revenue. We will make sure that they are taken care of. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. If this tariff revenue isn't coming back to be an aid for MAGA and for Trump to win, put America first, and make sure that Americans are taken care of, this is beautiful. Trump and his cabinet just announced major legislation, especially against those that are funding protests and chaos in America, with new findings that at least a minimum of $100 million in NGOs has already been tracked. 100 million has already been tracked to paying protesters. This was all revealed at the Trump Roundtable to cause chaos, to cause disruption, and to cause and incite violence at all these protests. Yes, $100 million has been tracked of our taxpayer dollars to go. And I'm telling you, not only that, they have tracked it to left-wing media and propaganda outlets. We have been funding our own chaos. Trump said this stops now. The U.S. Senate also gave a final I'm telling you, this is a big day of passage. The U.S. Senate gives a final passage to a major piece of legislation that will unleash coal leases and oil and gas development, undoing a ton of Biden-era measures that prevented us from being energy independent. Trump's team is also considering the Insurrection Act of 1807, law allowing troops to restore control in violent or lawless areas. Legal teams are preparing the framework as we speak so that the military can support these cities and making sure that there is no crime in like Chicago and Portland. And Trump has the federal pathway to be able to do this. And again, you cannot make this up, guys. I'm telling you, today's show, we are laying the smackdown on these Democrats. Senate Dems blocked Republicans' bills for the sixth time. The sixth time, everybody. And now, remember, they originally demanded $1.5 trillion to reopen the government. Now they've bumped it up by $350 billion. Now they want $1.85 trillion, almost $2 trillion. The additional $350 billion is for Obamacare subsidies to continue to carry along the horrible program that even Washington Post admitted was never affordable even in the first place. And you think I'm telling you, I'm bringing the cherry on top. Trump is one step closer to Nobel Peace Prize for the Hamas-Israel peace agreement. And this is big. President Trump has so much backing now that they were wanting to put his face on a $250 bill per the Daily Beast. Let me tell you this. If that happens, we're going to do a giveaway of a couple of $250 bills to members on this channel if Trump's face gets on it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. Big show today. I love it. If you're watching and not subscribed, please consider joining our family, hitting that subscribe button. Thank you to all of our members of the channel, those that give a super chat donation. We're truly grateful for your support. Show Elaine Demeen some love in the chat, OG of the channel. Thank you so much, Elaine. And just want to say again, whenever you give on this channel, we are giving to a bigger cause. we partner with you and we donate to a live charity, local charity, on the 22nd of every single month. It is big. And every time you support us, you know, it means the world to us. We just want to continue growing our voice, growing this reach. If you appreciate what we are doing, if you appreciate that, again, we're carrying on the mantle of Charlie Kirk, we're carrying on the MAGA voice, Make America Great Again. If you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, this is a big show today. We need some fireworks going. Let me see. There we go, baby. Big show today. I'm ready to see some fights in Congress. I know you are too. Let me know your thoughts in the comments because it's about dang time. Let's make something happen. Listen to this.
House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and Republican New York Congressman Mike Lawler almost got into a fight in the hallway.
Why did you vote to shut the government down? Why did you vote to shut it down?
Let me ask you a question.
For years, you always lectured about how we need to keep the government open.
You're making a show of this to make yourself relevant.
It's sad. You could easily sign on to this.
You're embarrassing yourself right now. Listen, you're not going to talk to me. You're not going to talk to me and talk over me
New York residents
because you don't want to hear what I have to say.
Oh, I'm listening.
So why don't you just keep your mouth shut?
Oh,
because you showed up.
Is that the way to talk? You're the one who actually voted to shut the government down.
Actually, you know that's not true.
It's sad. You voted to shut the government down.
Do Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the president?
Right, and you're smart enough to know that you need 60 votes in the Senate, right?
Is that right? No.
Do you need 60 votes in the Senate?
Okay, so that's how it started. And joining us now for more is Congressman Michael Lawler. Good to see you. What started that?
Thanks for having me. Well, I was listening to his press conference in which he was once again lying about the shutdown. The fact is, Hakeem Jeffries and every single House Democrat, but for one, voted to shut the government down nearly 3 weeks ago. And of course, Senator Schumer, who's petrified of a primary challenge from AOC, has been blocking the clean CR from advancing to keep the government open and funded. So I went down to where he was holding the press conference to wait for him to come out and ask him why he shut the government down, number one, and number two, why he wouldn't join me in the bipartisan bill to extend the Affordable Care Act subsidies for 1 year, and why, if that's the issue that they're concerned about, he wouldn't be fighting alongside me to get that done. And the reality is we know why. He's a hypocrite. Number one. And number two, this really isn't about health care. This is about their far left base and the fact that they are petrified that if they actually do their jobs, they will be primaried and removed from office.
Remember when Donald Trump put the meme out of Hakeem Jeffries with the sombrero, right? And Hakeem said, you know, all right, well, come say it to my face. You actually did that today. If we can widen out the video, Jeffries, as minority leader, has Secret Service protection. You can see the bodyguard right behind him there. When he said, keep your mouth shut, Congressman, that felt like for a moment he was going to hit you. Did you feel that?
Look, he was obviously very rattled and emotional. And, you know, frankly, at times unhinged. He was stuttering, stammering, couldn't answer a single question that I posed to him. I didn't feel threatened, though. I mean, the reality is there's nothing he can do. And the fact that he...
And you know what I love, everybody? Is that, again, this stuff just shows you how desperate and how just the mindset of where the Democrats are so bad. Representative Mike Herodopoulos came out and said, look, they've been wanting $1.5 trillion to reopen the government. Now they've bumped it up $350 billion. Look at all these zeros, everybody. That's a lot of zeros. And now they want to bump it up even more. This is a ransom. It's not a negotiation. Listen to this, because I'm telling you, the more and more that we dig deeper into this, we're exposing how corrupt they are. They just want money. They're money hungry. They're greedy. They don't care about seniors. They care about their slush funds. Let me know your thoughts in the comments if you appreciate this. If you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, guys, this is great. Listen to this.
I'm not sure if you've heard, but the Democrat ransom note started at $1.5 trillion. Again, $1.5 trillion is their ransom note in order to keep the government open. They think that somehow spending more money in Washington, D.C. is the answer. We disagree. And now on top of it, they've asked for another $350 billion in ransom in order to keep the Obamacare subsidies that have been a failure to this point in place. We want to simply keep the government open and find new ways to reduce the cost of government, reduce the cost of healthcare, as opposed to just subsidizing more and more government or subsidizing a failed system known as Obamacare.
I'm telling you, everybody, like, they're showing their hands so much. Trump is showing his hands. Look at this. The foreign-born population has dropped by 2.2 million across the United States under President Trump. Just imagine how many the houses now that are being available, because again, my 2.2 million people, I promise you, they weren't just living in a cardboard box. These people were living in homes. Now the prices of homes are going to be coming down because there's going to be less demand. And again, they're showing their hand. They're corrupt as can be. When you raise it to almost $2 trillion on a short-term 6-week spending bill, you got problems. Bob Hellborn, thank you so much for joining the family. Show Bob some love in the chat, as well as Melinda Johnson. Thank you so much. Jim Barbato, OG of the channel. And guys, I want y'all to give it up for Ted and Linda Thompson, members for 13 months, baby. I love it. Members of the channel, show Ted and Linda some love in the chat. These are OGs right here. 13 months. Give them some love. We are loving what we are saying. This is America First policies, and we've got a front row seat.
Couldn't answer a single question.
Well, he
spoke
could
more
you.
volumes than anything else.
Would you have hit him back if he hit you?
Listen, no, listen. It wasn't like that. But look, at the end of the day, to me, this is very simple. He is playing politics with the lives of the American people. The government should be open. Chuck Schumer should get back to work, do his job, pass the clean CR that House Republicans passed over 3 weeks ago, so that we can actually focus on these issues. You know, while they're sitting around playing patty cake here at Capitol Hill, President Trump just secured a peace deal in the Middle East and is securing the release of the remaining hostages. So maybe, just maybe, Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer could wake up and realize that they look like a clown show on Capitol Hill, and instead of shutting the government down because they're afraid of AOC and Zohran Mamdani, they could actually do their job so that we can keep the government funded and open and pay our troops while President Trump is trying to get these hostages brought home.
You asked Jeffries about Zohran Mamdani in New York. Let's look.
You're so afraid of Zohran Mamdani. By the way, when are you endorsing him?
By the way,
do you endorse him for real?
Ooh, call him out.
Listen, you're a complete and total embarrassment right now.
Oh, why is that? Because you don't want to answer the question?
Is this supposed to be a video for your failed re-election?
You don't want to answer the question? Do you support Zohran? By the way, did you see his statement yesterday?
Listen.
An embarrassment on October 7th blaming the Jews?
Wow.
You support that? Should he be the Democratic nominee for mayor?
First of all, I don't answer to you.
Yeah, we have that statement. Basically, Mamdani on the October 7th anniversary yesterday pointed out that, according to the Hamas Health Ministry, 60,000 people have died in Gaza. Pretty tone-deaf on Mamdani's part. Did he ever answer your question about endorsing Mamdani?
No, of course not. He's betwixt and between. He's afraid to say no because obviously that will result in a primary challenge in a district in which Zohran Mamdani got about 70% of the vote in the Democratic primary.
Right.
And so he's petrified of that. But he also realizes that Zohran Mamdani is a disaster for Democrats all across the country. And so he's betwixt and between, and that's why he's stuttering and stammering and can't answer the question honestly.
Just a quick one.
Let me tell you this, bro. I'm telling you this. The more and more that they continue to support this right here. Look at this. This was in Chicago. Look at this right here. The ICE protests that are happening. That this is nothing. This is not America First. This is not the majority of America. This is not where Americans want to be at. And we're continuing to see a breakdown of the Democratic Party that are supporting the ICE protest. Literally obstruction of justice right now. This is insane. And not only that, you know it's getting bad, everybody, when you have CBS, I think it's CBS or CNBC, they're all the same, who's literally calling out Hakeem Jeffries to his face. CNBC is saying, look, It's y'all's fault right now. You're not doing anything. You're causing harm to Americans. Go ahead, grab some popcorn, everybody, and enjoy this.
Government open and then going into the normal appropriations process. I mean, there was an election, and the Republicans were put in a position where they were able to pass the big, beautiful bill, or you call it the big, ugly bill. To then say, we don't like any of that, so we're going to shut down the government until you take back all the things that you duly passed through legislation. If Republicans had tried to do that to the Inflation Reduction Act or the any of the acts that Biden and that administration have passed, if they said we're going to shut down the government because we don't like any of those things you did, we're going to not pay our military, we're going to, you know, not allow the government to reopen until you do what we want. After an election where the American people put Democrats in power, you'd be going crazy. You'd be going crazy about using a shutdown of the government with a continuing resolution to get what you want just because you don't like what the Republicans did. It's not how it works. It's bad. It's bad precedent, and it's just clear. And you're talking about the House. You've already passed this. The Senate is who we're talking about, and they have a bill which will reopen the government right now with 5 more Democrats.
You just heard that, everybody. 100% called him out straight to his face, said if it was on your side and you were dealing with this, you'd be calling them out, this and this and that. But this makes no sense. Y'all are crazy. Even right here, I'm telling you, whether it's CNBC, CNN, everybody's flipping the script on the Democrats and turning on the Democrats. Listen to this.
I mean, I understand what you're saying about where the differences are, and they are very big. They are voting yes on what we say here in Washington, a clean CR, a bill to keep the government running for 7 weeks, and Democrats are voting no, and for the reasons you just said. So how are they shutting down the government?
First of all, it isn't a clean CR.
Okay. Oh, really?
Let's not stipulate to that. It's not a clean CR.
What do they have in it?
Going into that. The point is...
You hear that? What's clean? What's not in it? There's nothing in it, everybody. This is why we are winning. MAGA's winning. Common sense is winning. Guys, I'm feeling it. Put hashtag MAGA in the chat, in the comments, because this is what is going to make America great again, is that they cannot refute any of their of the statements that we put out whenever it comes to the truth and common sense policies. Jim Barbato, OG of the channel, brother, let's go. Show Jim some love in the chat. Hey, having fun today. Show Donna Upton some love in the chat. Said, thank you, Joel, you are the best. Donna, you're the best. Thank you so much for your support. Show Donna some love in the chat, everybody. As well as Scrixcore. I hope I'm saying that right. Skyrexcore. Said 8 USC 1324. Look it up. All these mayors and officials protecting the illegals qualify. All of them. I will, bro. I will look it up. Y'all show Skyrexcore some love in the chat. And welcome to the family, Joseph Williams. Show Joseph some love in the chat. We're bringing everything to you today, y'all. This is good stuff. I love it because, again, we're one step closer to MAGA winning.
Now, Mark Mitchell joins me. I got to get this in today because, and Mark, you're more than a pollster. People know you're the Rasmussen guy. You come on because of the work you're doing and the way that you do it. You're better than just the best tracking poll and the best pollster for the Trump movement and for President Trump. You've had a ringside seat and you've rolled your sleeves up and dug down on this, and you've got some very profound observations, and you and I keep talking. You say, hey, Steve, this is more than just regular politics. We're in a war now, a battle for the soul of this country. Walk me through that. What your research? Why do you come to this and talk about really what's the heart of a fourth turning, sir?
I mean, it's all coming to a head right now. We're at the end of it, and I think things are going to move really fast now. The window in which Trump can fix things, bring accountability to the government, set us on the right path, is rapidly shrinking. And we're already looking at political realities that it's like, okay, 13, 14 months from now, the Republicans might be lame duck. And already you're starting to see, like I saw your segment today on Ted Cruz, you're starting to see the usual suspects rear their head, trying to basically shove MAGA back to the back of the bus. And it's so transparent. The forces of the establishment want this grift to continue. They don't want to fix, even though we're rushing to a cliff. And I'm here to say that America is rushing to a cliff. And I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but it's like you usually don't have me on when there's happy talk. And I hear a lot of happy talk. And I hear things like, wow, there's a revival in America, or Gen Z is the most conservative generation in decades, or, oh, wow, the Republican Party's got a plan, or all these things. Conservatism is suffering or having a resurgence. It's not happening. Right now, there's an existential battle of two.
It is, everybody. And I hope you appreciate this. If you do, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, I want to show you what he's talking about right now. Because this right here, you want to talk about who's funding who, Antifa, things like this? We have tracked and found, and we're going to show you this in a moment, $100 million laundered by the Democrats via NGOs. George Soros, Open Society Foundation, Arabella, Neville Singham, Johann Weiss, and more. These are all the people stated that used $100 million of taxpayer-funded money by us to fund chaos in the United States. This is where we need action. And I hope, like I said, if you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, we're going to show you all the receipts and everything that's coming out with the polling, why we have to continue putting our foot on the pedal to hold these people accountable and to arrest them if they've committed the crimes. Guys, this is what I'm talking about. The $100 million is a lot of money and can pay for a lot of chaos.
Different worldviews. And it's like you can frame it as a fight between Republicans and Democrats, but I don't think that really catches everything, because Donald Trump didn't win because of just Republicans, okay? So it's like, well, what happens when MAGA goes away, when it loses its political capital? What replaces it? If it's basically Mitt Romney's Republican Party, then they will suffer a massive defeat. Well, is it liberalism versus conservatism? I don't think that's correct either. Because what even is conservatism? What have they conserved? Who's the conservative leader? And I'll tell you what, the Gen Zs, they don't want to hear about conservatism. They think ideas like free market capitalism have failed them. And so is it a religious battle? Well, I don't know. I look at the religious polling, and I can tell you that in many ways it appears to me like the church has just sort of abdicated this fight. Like it doesn't really find that its message is relevant for people who go to church to talk about values, to talk about the things that Americans need to stand for. How's this? Christians in America are only +2 pro-life, only +2. Now, the general population is +16 pro-choice, so I guess the impact of Christianity is 18 points. And obviously, that's just a litmus test. But I see it over and over again, and when you look at the polling by the religion, the people who are most certain about their worldview are atheists. Atheists are overwhelmingly the most certain about their worldview, followed by evangelical Christians. But Protestants, when you ask them questions about, well, who do you support on this values-based issue, Protestants are completely split, just like the rest of America. It's like you might as well not even find answers at church. These people, and obviously we know the mainline denominations are failing. And so what is the struggle? And I think it's two different worldviews, and we talked about the Zoomer polling, but when you really dig deep and understand this cohort of individuals, they're hopeless. They don't think they're going to be able to afford houses. Their unemployment rate's super high. They have a ridiculous level of mental health. 35% of them say they've been diagnosed with a mental health condition.
Wow.
Almost 30% of them are taking drugs for mental health conditions or seeing therapists. Half of 18...
A third, y'all. More than a third are taking mental health medication. You want to talk about control? We spend the most money out of any first world country per person on healthcare, and we have the sickest people across the entire world. Now tell me, where the heck does that make sense?
To 29-year-olds, almost half, are single, and a good chunk of them aren't even trying to find somebody to marry. They're not even dating. 17% of all Gen Zs are single and not even dating. And then when you look at what they want out of relationships, NBC did this polling, if you compare Gen Z young men that voted for Trump, what do they define success as? In this poll, they define success as, yes, a career, yes, having a career and being a breadwinner, but also being married and having children. Those were very high on the list of what Trump voting Gen Z men wanted, which is most Gen Z men. Well, what do the 18 to 29-year-old Harris voting women want? Well, they want careers also by a much higher margin. What they don't want is kids and marriage. They don't define that as success. Only 6% of them. And so
let me tell you this. You want to know when you have a breakdown of society is when women don't want families. When you don't want families and you don't want to be have children, and you just heard only 6% out of this poll actually wanted this. We've got a breakdown in society. I've got an update just how bad the leftists make things. Look at this. A man with nearly 100 arrests, accused of stabbing an elderly victim, has never served prison time. How in the world? Guys, I want to jump out of my seat. I want to just like my head hit the ceiling, jumping so high out of just mind-blowing. You cannot make this up. Only in a leftist propaganda, soft crime policies would you ever see something like this. A man with nearly 100 arrests who has now been accused of stabbing an elderly victim has never served prison time. Per Fox. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. This is out of control. This is what's causing so much problems. Skyrex Cord, thank you so much for the super chat. Said 8 USC 1324 harboring undocumented aliens, encouraging them to enter the U.S. Penalties for violating the statute can include fines, imprisonment up to 10 years, and even death if results in death. Skyrex Core, I love it. Show Skyrex some love in the chat. Yes, I literally just looked it up, and that's 100% true. I don't understand how they easily can have 5-6 indictments against one person, Trump, put all people's Trumps in prison, whether it's Navarro and Bannon and all these, but dang it, we can only indict one person? Like, more arrests, more arrests. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because I'm telling you, if the left had their way, America would literally turn into a communist socialist state, and we would literally lose our superpowers within the world.
These people want totally different things, and they're being indoctrinated, like we talked about with Reddit, into an online monoculture that is filling a gap left by religion. There's a message. There's almost a religious battle in this country for the hearts and minds of these people, and it's being filled with things like hate and the LGBTQ movement. I think this might blow many people's minds. But there are more people in the 18 to 29-year-old cohort in America who identify as LGBTQ than who identify as Catholic. And of the 18 to 29-year-olds, Catholic is their highest religious ID. And not only that, there's more Gen Z LGBTQ people than there are 18 to 29-year-olds who say that they are very religious. Wow. 23% of Gen Z says they're LGBTQ. Only 18% say they're very religious. Less than 20% say they're Catholic. Now, the ones that go to church, like they attend church, and in fact, many of the ones, the Gen Z that are at church, didn't go because they're parents. They went because they're looking for something. 32% of them say that they became Christians just recently or in the last few years. So if you can get them to church and it's a good church, there might be a message there for them. But these people, like we said before, are not capitalistic. Even the ones that voted for Trump overwhelmingly support things like nationalizing major industries. Almost 60% of Gen Z Trump voters support excess wealth confiscation. Only 1/3 of them oppose income caps. And 62% of all Gen Z says that the economy is unfair to young people. Now, these people, in my opinion, are...
Let me tell you this. If we aren't seeing the dang... Like, it's happening in real time. They took over the schools. We've shown you polling on this channel that basically 9 out of every 10 professors and teachers are Democratic with left-leaning policies and ideologies, and that's who's been raising the next generation. Just think about that. Jeffrey Hatt, thank you so much for the super chat. So we will have a huge red wave when they unleash all the old production and all the prices come down. Watch them scramble when the lights come on. Let's go. Show Jeffrey Hatt, OG of the channel, some love in the chat. Right here, you got President Trump is promoting putting his face on a $250 bill. Let me tell you this. If this happens, we'll do a giveaway of like two members of the channel. We'll give two $250 bills away because that is like such a win. And just like with what Jeffrey had just said, the U.S. Senate gives final passage to a major piece of legislation that will unleash coal leases and oil and gas development, undoing a Biden-era measure. This will lead us to be independent with energy and to finally start reducing the cost of electricity and whatnot. Because I'm going to tell you this. When it comes to all this stuff, electricity, water, gas are one of the main things like that everybody needs that affects every single person in the United States because everybody has to have it. But there is one person, and I wanted to show you this, y'all. There is one person who is kind of breaking rank with the Republicans, and you wouldn't think so. You wouldn't think so, but we're showing you this because, again, too, she's at the point where Marjorie Taylor Greene is fed up with the Republicans and not being able to codify or do the things that they campaigned on doing to get their seat. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. This is big.
Well, you have a little bit of time on your hands with the government being shut down. You look terrific. But tell us about this, especially with what's going on in Portland and whatnot, Antifa. You brought a bill that designated Antifa terrorists. Trump seemed to want to sign that. What happened? How did it break down?
Well, yes, I actually introduced that bill. Eric, thank you for bringing it up, to designate Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization, which I believe they are. Clearly, President Trump agrees with that, and so do many Americans. I introduced that bill several years ago, and it has yet to see the light of day on the House floor receiving a vote. I think this is an easy one for Republicans to vote yes on, but again, it hasn't made it. It hasn't been scheduled.
Well, why not, though? TG, why not? Is it Mike Johnson just refuses to be, because is it controversial? I just don't get. You have the House, you have the Senate. You have this for another year and 2 months or so. Why not make the best of it and get a bunch of this stuff signed while you can?
Well, that's the logical thinking there, Eric, but I'm not sure how leadership comes up with which bills should receive a vote and which don't, and why many bills never make it. I think it's pretty simple. I think we ought to go on what we campaign on and what we promise the American people. We've known Antifa to be a domestic terrorist organization as early as President Trump's first presidency, 2017, 2018. We clearly saw them as a domestic terrorist organization during BLM, and now they're back. They're literally anarchists attacking our government and attacking ICE. So I think this is a no-brainer. However, the government is shut down and the speaker refuses to bring the House back in session, so there's no bills making it to the floor for votes right now.
So Antifa, there's in the U.S. Code, I think it's U.S. Code 18, Section 111, says you cannot impede officers or employees of certain agencies in the government, which means you could be arresting these people. You could be arresting for criminal activity these people. Why don't we just enforce the law and get these thugs off the streets? They're burning, and let's talk about burning flags. They're burning flags, which you also want to, and Trump wants to make a crime as well. Where's the whole, here's the problem. We love you. I love you. You're great for the American people. We come on here and we talk about all these things that really piss us off, and you guys are doing the work.
It really bothers me that people that have the freedom that they have within the United States to speak what they want, do what they want, you have literally just insane ideologies. But to me, when it comes to our flag and what it represents in giving you that freedom, it should never be allowed to be burned. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. To me, just like Trump, 100% jail time. That's not right. Do whatever you want to anything else, but when it comes to what represents our country and the freedom that you have, do not burn the American flag. Man.
To make sure it's fixed, and then somehow it just never gets passed, or we don't see the perp walks. Tell us what the holdup is.
Well, you know, Eric, I'm one of those people that ran for Congress because I was angry at Republicans. Republicans actually never govern like they campaign, and I think that's a very serious issue, and it needs to be talked about more. And you know, a lot of these problems can be solved, and Republicans have that opportunity right now. We have the White House, the House, and the Senate, and I can't answer as to why our party doesn't do that, but it is a huge frustration among the base, and it's a growing problem, which we may lose support going into the midterms because we aren't delivering on these promises that we constantly make. And I've been very vocal about it. I'm going to continue to be vocal about it because I have a business approach to my job. I think that the American people are our customer. We should view them that way, and they deserve the best service. It should be customer service. And but I hope to continue to have these conversations, calling out Republicans because we actually need to deliver what we promise.
So why doesn't he? I just I don't want to put you in a bad spot with the leader of your caucus, Mike Johnson, but why doesn't Speaker bring this to a vote? You're going to pass these things, and it'll go to the Senate, and the Senate will pass these things. But is there some sort of, backdoor cloakroom dealings that he's making with Democrats not to bring these things to a vote?
I have no idea on that. I can tell you, and this would shock a lot of people that watch this, it may be because we wouldn't be able to pass the bill. Maybe not all Republicans would actually vote for it.
But we
and
know
that has been a large problem.
But we would know who didn't vote for it.
That's right. That's right. I'm a believer in that. I'm a believer in put everyone on record. I actually wrote about that in my book. It was something that I did my first term as a freshman. When they kicked me off committees, I sat there on the House floor for hours, day in and day out, calling for recorded votes so the American people could see how Congress votes. You know, I'm a believer in look, put it all out there. And if it fails, the American people know who's the problem people and why, and then put it back to the floor, because I guarantee you those Republicans are going to hear from their constituents at home, and maybe they'll actually change their mind and vote correctly.
How are you doing?
Let me tell you this, everybody. I want to show you something real quick because to me it matters. I feel like it's not just all the Democrats. I feel like there are some Republicans that are being paid off. I feel like there's people in Congress on both sides that are being paid under the table not to vote, not to bring things to the table, not to be not to be a proponent for a true MAGA policies, and you're about to hear it right here because they've been tracking. Scott Bessent has been tracking money throughout all of the what's been coming out of the Treasury, going to all of these different organizations that are funding, and you're not going to believe what you're about to hear because, again, we would know nothing of this corruption if it wasn't for Trump being in office. We're going to go back to MTG in a moment, but I want you to hear this first because this is insane.
This is not just a story about violence and chaos, as you alluded to, Mr. President. This is a money story. And at the Government Accountability Institute, my colleague and I, Peter Schweitzer and our team, we followed the money, and we followed it to the top of what we call the protest industrial complex, Riot Inc. And we found a network of NGOs. It's not just the Soros network, the Open Society network, it's other funding networks, the Arabella funding network, the Tides funding network, Neville Roy Singham and his network, Foreign Cash. And it's also big left-wing funders. Some of them are not citizens of this country. Mr. Hans-Jörg Wyss of Switzerland. They're pouring money into this entire ecosystem. And so I want to share 3 money facts with you about what we call Riot Inc. Number 1, like any corporation, Riot Inc. has many divisions. It doesn't just have the Antifa boots on the ground division. It has PR divisions. It has marketing divisions. It has a very well-funded legal division to get these boots on the ground back on the streets as quickly as possible. But it does have those investors that I mentioned. Number 2, we have identified dozens of radical organizations, not just the decentralized Antifa organizations, but dozens of radical organizations that have received more than $100 million from the Riot Inc. investors. These would be the lawyer groups. These would be the groups that advocate for calling good, honest Americans fascists, et cetera.
If you appreciate this, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up like button, everybody. This stuff, we're bringing you the receipts today. They're not going to show this on mainstream media, but we're going to show it here on TrueLife News. And thank you so much for helping us grow our voice, helping us grow our reach, because this right here is what people have to see. We cannot continue funding our own demise.
And three, I think the most shocking thing is that we have found that more than $100 million in U.S. taxpayer funding has flowed into these funding networks, including at least $4 million to these very groups themselves, not just Antifa types, but there was an event in Atlanta called Stop Cop City. Over 60 rioters were charged with domestic terrorism. These groups received money for that from both the billionaire class as well as taxpayer money. So one other thing, this money helps fund the decentralized crowdfunding platforms. These are ways that Antifa, the John Brown Gun Club of Elm Fork, which had links to that attack on the ICE facility, the Socialist Rifle Association, and just because they don't have LLCs or EIN numbers doesn't mean they can't get paid. Some of these funding platforms, crowdfunding platforms, are funded by this network that we call rioting. So, again, I want to thank you for your leadership, for the whole cabinet's leadership on this. We're going to keep following the money and appreciate everything you're doing, sir.
Do you know the name of any of the funders? Do you know the names? Because if you do, I'd like you to give them to Cash or Pam.
Absolutely.
Or Christy.
Yeah, we'll do that.
As soon as you can. That's all of you. Because you probably know the names after a certain period of time. You tend to find out. But these are people that do not have good intention for the country, and that's treasonous probably. So if you
treasonous.
Could, very important. If you could do that, that would be great. Nobody would know better than you. You'll figure.
This is why, again, when Marjorie Taylor Greene comes out and says, look, because we don't bring votes is because we don't want to expose ourselves. These Republicans don't want to expose themselves for what they truly are doing. Because I'll tell you this, people are coming across the line. You've got Senator Fetterman, who's now crossed party lines again to congratulate President Trump on the Israel-Hamas peace plan, which will see all hostages released. He says, our parties are different, but we have a shared ironclad commitment to Israel and its people. This right here again, you don't have to agree on everything, but dang it, whenever it's the right thing, we should be able to align with that. And that's why what you're about to hear next from Marjorie Taylor Greene, she is saying she is saying what nobody else wants to say, that we need a full dismantling of all of Congress and redo everything because it's too corrupt.
With the Trump administration. Now, you and I believe you're a national treasure. I think you are great for your constituents in the state of Georgia and your district. You're wonderful. I'd love to see you Senator Marjorie Taylor Greene or higher. That said, recently people have said maybe is there any sort of pushback with the Trump administration? What's going on there? Let's clear the air a little bit. Is it that these ideas that you have are getting to the president, but they're not getting actually legislated?
Well, you know, here's where I stand. I've always been an unapologetic Trump supporter. I was one of the very few that stood with him after January 6th, fought for him all over the country and helped him get reelected, spent millions of dollars out of my own campaign to do that. And I've also supported many great Republicans getting elected as well. But I'm not a, let's see, what's the right way to say it? I'm not a slave, and I am independent-minded. I work for my district. That's who elected me. I got elected on my own without the Trump endorsement back in 2020. And at times, I disagree with the Trump administration. And guess what, Eric? I'm allowed to do that. I'm an American. I'm allowed to have my own opinion, and I am... Most importantly, Eric, I'm supposed to represent my district. That's my job title. I also serve in Congress. That's the legislative branch. It's not the executive branch. I'm not an employee of the president. So I can support President Trump and disagree with him or his administration at times. And I think that's totally okay.
I think it's a healthier conservative party when we have people like you who are able to say, Mr. President, I support you, I believe in you, which I do from this side, from the media side of this. But there are certain things I don't agree. And your willingness to do that doesn't go unnoticed, and I'm sure it doesn't go unnoticed in the White House as well. But do you get pushback? And do you get the advisors say, hey, MTG, can you do us a favor on this one? But I want your voice out there. I think Trump's a better president with conservative people who back him, who say, maybe not this one, Mr. President. Just tell us about that.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I'll give you one example, and I'm probably got another one that I just created for myself yesterday. But on the Epstein files, I've unapologetically stood with women and victims of rape, especially these women. They said they were raped at 14 years old by Jeffrey Epstein. And they've talked about a lot of other people being responsible for this. And, I've stood with these women and said, look, all the files need to come out. And I received unbelievable blowback and pressure from the White House, pushing me to get off Thomas Massey's discharge petition, which I absolutely refuse to do. I'm not coming off that discharge petition, and I'm not going to stop supporting women who were raped. I'm going to stand with these women and any woman, and especially children that are victims of sexual abuse of any kind. I think that's the right thing to do. It's absolutely common sense. And, that has been shocking to me, and I've seen it as completely unnecessary, and I won't tolerate it. There is no amount of pressure they can put on me to force me to step in line on that, so to speak. And then also, Eric, yesterday I took to social media, and I'm not going to back down on this issue either. Health insurance premiums are out of control. Insurance is out of control in the United States of America. Health insurance.
Let me tell you this, y'all. Y'all know me. I'm married. I got twins. 2-year-old twins now, and I got a 4-year-old. We got quoted on some insurance, and it was like $2,300 a month for us. And I'm just sitting over here thinking, are you kidding me? Like, this is how much a dang house cost per month in a mortgage. And this is how much they want. And look at this. You know when's the last time I've been to the doctor? Couldn't tell you when. Thank God. Health is there. My wife, she's healthy too. Kids are good. But still $2,300 a month. And what you're about to see here, this is why Trump, and I've seen this where he's pushing for tariff revenue to be used to help out with Medicare and to help out seniors when it comes to health care costs. But we've got a problem in the United States when it comes to health care. And it is literally, before you know it, going to be thousands and thousands of dollars. We are the number one, we pay the most per capita out of the entire world. We are the richest in the world, yet we spend the most in healthcare, and we have the sickest people. How does that even make sense? As if you appreciate what we're doing here, if you don't mind doing us a huge favor, hit the thumbs up like button. Guys, thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much, T Heavy Guy. We're blessed to have you, brother. God is helping us out. But man, it's hard for everybody. And how come you're not hearing even the Democrats talk about what they're saying? They're trying to give illegal immigrants health care.
House insurance, car insurance. People can't afford it anymore. And I want Republicans to have a solution, and I'm demanding it. I don't think Democrats should be the one owning this issue because they want socialized health care, and we're $37 trillion in debt, and we can't afford that. However, the reality is many Americans, our families especially, are paying $2,000 a month for health insurance premiums with high deductibles, and many of them aren't even using their health insurance. They're just having to pay this payment, and it's unforgivable. And to allow Democrats to have some sort of moral high ground on this issue because they're the only ones talking about it, I think is a major failure from the Republican Party, and I'm not going to stand there and just keep talking the talking points when my own adult children can hardly afford health insurance premiums, when everyone in my district, it's the #1 issue that I hear about day in and day out, not just people on the ACA, but people that have private insurance as well. And I think it's something that we have to talk about. And I don't see why the government needs to be shut down. I really don't. I believe that if Republicans learn to govern and wield power, they can use the nuclear option in the Senate. They can open up the government. We can get back to work for the American people, and Republicans can solve this problem that is a very big problem that we can't ignore.
Well, you're
Let's go. I love it, everybody. Give Doyle Alvin Knight some love in the chat for the super chat. Let's go. We bring you the receipts, everybody. Look at this. This is who the Democrats is like the front runner for the 2028 presidential election, and he's actually not doing too bad on his side of his party. He's been the governor over California, which is literally has like the 5th largest GDP in the world. Everybody, 5th or 6th is the California's GDP in the world. Look at this. #1 in homelessness, #1 in poverty, #1 in retail crime, #1 in gas prices, #1 in illiteracy, wage stagnation, frivolous lawsuits, unemployment, housing costs, water bills. Not second on water bills, housing costs. #1 in anti-business regulations. Now you tell me, this is what they want to carry across the United States. And right now, this is the front, like this is why I say, everybody, how do you negotiate or find common ground with people that this is their #1 guy? And this is what he has caused as he's been governor in the state of California. Where it doesn't even make sense. Does not even make sense any bit. I want to give you the update on where things are at with the government shutdown with our boy, Speaker Mike Johnson. What's going on? Because again, people are just fed up. People want to see change. Listen to this.
I just want to summarize everything this morning as I've been doing on some interviews earlier today. This morning, Americans are watching a remarkable split screen. Two things happening simultaneously, and there's a rather stunning contrast between the two. On one screen, you see President Trump and Republicans delivering for the American people. You see President Trump and Republicans cutting taxes for hardworking American families. You see us ending the border crisis, ending the crime crisis. You see us eliminating fraud, waste, and abuse in government, and now resolving violent conflicts around the world. What President Trump achieved yesterday, was announced last night, is a truly historic foreign policy achievement. I mean, it cannot be understated. We should give a whole press conference just about that. The deal that he struck between Israel and Hamas will achieve incredible results, not just for that region, but for every peace-loving people around the world, everyone around the world. He's going to bring the hostages home. 2 years they've been in captivity. They'll finally be delivered home. We're all watching the images of the celebrations in Israel and around the world by people in Gaza and in Israel, that this is coming to an end. He's going to bring the hostages home. He's going to bring peace and security back to Israel and truly lay the foundation for a lasting peace in the Middle East. This is a goal and an objective that's been stated by presidents and politicians and policymakers and people around the globe for generations. And President Trump has the strength and the vision and the resolve to do it. He's the only president who could have, as has been demonstrated. And look at the other side of the screen. So that's all going on one side of the split screen. Now look at the other. The stark contrast with the Democrats who have shut down the government. Republicans are busy working around the clock to deliver for the American people, voting over and over to open the U.S. government and laying the foundation for lasting peace and working to deliver for American troops and military families. And what do you see on the other screen? Democrats playing games with the lives and livelihoods of the people we represent. They have now voted in the Senate. The Senate Democrats have voted 6 times to keep the government shut down. And I just want to tell you one of the most outrageous things I've seen since I've been following politics in the mid-'80s when I was a kid in the Reagan era. Chuck Schumer did an interview last night and bragged, this is what he said, quote, he had the audacity to say, quote, every day of this shutdown gets better for us, his party. I don't even know how to comment on that. It's so stunning to me how callous he can be to play political games and use American citizens as the pawns in a political game. We're in day 9. The consequences of this Democrat shutdown are very real, and he can mock it and he can pretend like it gets better for him. It doesn't. It doesn't get better for the country. Right now, half our civilian federal employees are on furlough. Real, vital, critical services that American citizens in all categories rely upon are halted. And when we talk specifically about our military, right now, service members, military personnel at home and abroad, as well as Border Patrol agents, TSA, air traffic controllers, they're all working without pay.
And think about it like this. They've asked Trump, how is it going to be whenever? Are we going to give people back pay? Things like that. And Trump's like, some are going to get back pay, some are not. Right now, we're dealing with a lot of Democratic chaos right now. This literally happened last night in Chicago. These ICE protests that are happening, and this is what the Democrats want. They want to continue fighting against bringing America as a top priority. That's the problem that we're in. Is who is your priority? Is it illegal immigrants? Is it those constituents? Is it Americans? Because this is what we're seeing right now. Literally holding up traffic, causing, it's just mind-blowing. And again, this is so bad. I just want to show you this again because we're learning more and more about this story. This man with nearly 100 arrests, accused of stabbing an elderly victim, has never served prison time. Do you know that in some states, if they find that you are not right up here and you are not competent, they won't even charge you with the crime. They'll let you go out on the streets. And that's how you get this situation right here. 100 arrests, career. You cannot tell me that the Democrats do not want chaos when they allow this to happen. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Doyle Alvin Knight, let's go, brother. Said, go MAGA. Thank you so much, Danny, for the super chat, as well as our boy Jim Barbado and Robert Cash. I love it. Said, Jesus Christ is King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Amen. I love it. Show them some love in the chat, everybody. And don't forget to show that again, too, this support that you give, whether it's a super chat, membership, we donate live on stream, full transparency, everybody, of what's going on. It's just what you're about to see next. I want to see this come to life. We need to see people that are breaking the laws, like what Cyrix Core, hopefully I'm saying that right, said, when you're obstructing justice, when you're harboring illegal aliens, we need to see people in jail. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
ICE officers' lives are in danger in Chicago, and at this point, they're aiding and abetting an insurrection. This is nothing more than sabotage and a dereliction of duty. But the mayor says Trump's just trying to lock up another brother.
It's certainly not the first time that Donald Trump has called for the arresting of a black man unjustly. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay firm.
Johnson's not very bright. Trump also wants to lock up the white guy. But the white guy's building a wall.
This is a convicted felon. I mean, think about that, who is threatening to jail me. I got to say, this guy's unhinged. He's insecure. He's a wannabe dictator. And there's one thing I really want to say to Donald Trump. If you come for my people, you come through me. So come and get me.
Jamie Beck's big, but he's not that big. How's Ribs going to stop a chopper?
Imagine being a child awakened in the middle of the night by a Black Hawk helicopter landing on your roof.
Kids in Chicago are getting hit by strays. If they see a Black Hawk land on a roof to round up bad guys, that's a dream come true. Ribs never worried about the children before. He thinks ICE is a bigger threat than street gangs. The whole city's infested.
We learned that the Chicago city streets have 110,000 gang members. That's right, you heard me right. They had 1,200 shootings this year alone, 360 homicides.
Parts of Chicago are more dangerous than Afghanistan. 5% of the people in Chicago are gang members. Almost 10% of the city is illegal. So the Guard's going in. Over 500 members of the Guard from Illinois, Texas, and California have been deployed for a 60-day mission. And what's JB Back actually going to do about it? Nothing. If he tells Chicago PD to block the Guard, you think the police are loyal to Ribs or the president? The streets are begging for help, and Trump's the president for all Americans, even in Portland.
Yesterday morning, I was broken again for the 10th time. We need help here, and something needs to be done. So if this is what we need to do to get our leaders paying attention to what's happening in Portland, then I think it's a good thing.
A business is burglarized 10 times,
Wow.
and Portland politicians don't want to help? The only explanation is they want to help the criminals help themselves. The Portland mayor is a straight-up crime denier.
The president will not find lawlessness or violence here. I've been so deeply disappointed to see footage from a half-decade ago recycled and recycled again. If President Trump came to Portland today, what he would find are people riding their bikes, playing sports, enjoying the sunshine, buying produce at a farmer's market.
People enjoy sunshine and buy produce at farmers markets in Ukraine. Is Ukraine A-okay? And recycled footage? There's been riots for over 100 days. They showed footage of January 6th for 2 years, and that was only one day. And if we needed more proof that Democrats are colluding with Antifa, politicians are coaching them on when to throw Molotov cocktails.
They are trying to tell a story, a reality TV story for a reality TV president. We need to stay away from the ICE facility tonight, where almost assuredly they will have right-wing media influencers, agitators, and videographers to tell a propaganda story about us.
Reality shows aren't scripted. They're just pointing a camera at reality. And Democrats can't face the reality that their cities are unsafe because they'd be responsible for not doing anything about it. So they're blaming the cameras for the crime. Today, Trump held an Antifa roundtable at the White House and invited the real journalists who have been on the ground. Secretary Noem hitched a red eye from Portland and reports there's a major cover-up.
They are absolutely covering up the terrorism that is hitting their streets. The damage that they've done, these leaders in these local cities, along with Pritzker and Johnson, ignore what's going on, or, sir, they're helping Antifa cover it up.
Antifa is saying...
Let me tell you this, everybody, with what you're about to see next. You cannot, remember that, left-wing media and most of the Democrats are just like anything that Trump does, regardless if it's even good, it's like you can never give him credit for anything, because if you give him credit, then it's like the whole world ends. But it's amazing to see that for the first time ever, that they're sort of acknowledging that Trump is doing something right when it comes to the Hamas peace deal. And I want to show you this too, because again, what you're about to see next, and as things keep building, remember, we layer things in to bring context. I believe that a shift is happening that most common sense people will align with.
That this was not doable when President Biden was in office.
Do you see how she's literally... it's like killing her inside to say this, but it's the truth about the Hamas peace deal. Couldn't be done under President Biden.
I think the biggest problem that the President Biden had is there was no pressure from Qatar, from Turkey, from Egypt. They were actually facilitating in many ways what was going on. And that is really ultimately how it all came together.
So, but I think by saying that, it's sort of an acknowledgement Trump has changed that dynamic.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I think
absolutely.
that...
He's clearly...
I don't know how he...
Yes.
And I think there's a lot that remains to learn about what prompted that change, but I do agree, yes. Somehow, some way that changed.
It's called peace through strength, baby. Dang. You cannot make up how bad these people are when it comes to how Trump operates. And it's common sense stuff. That's what I love most about this, is that when it comes to common sense, peace deal, People are coming together on this. Andy, thank you so much for the super chat, brother. Let's go. Say AT&T needs their license revoked for allowing the spying of 8 Republican politicians. Imagine what they would do to all of us. Treasonous company boycott. I ain't with AT&T on my phone. Thank you so much, Andy. Show Andy some love in the chat. I think that the investigation is going to show a lot because, again, if it was like Twitter and Facebook and Meta, where FBI, CIA was like pushing them to do this type of stuff, they need to be held accountable too. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
They have been very threatening to people, but we're going to be very threatening to them, far more threatening to them than they ever were with us, and that includes the people that fund them. They come from very expensive printing machines. These are not people that write out their signs in a basement that believe in something. These are paid anarchists.
Trump wants to follow the money, and the domestic terror designation lets the DOJ loose.
Just like we did with cartels, we're going to take the same approach, President Trump, with Antifa. Destroy the entire organization from top to bottom. We're going to take them apart.
We will not rest until we find every single seed, money, donor, organization, and funding mechanism that we have. They will not be able to hide.
So who's funding the insurrection? 100 days of rioting outside of ICE facilities? Antifa doesn't have 9-to-5s. And I don't think they have 100 vacation days saved. And gas masks and tactical gear aren't cheap. Neither are lawyers and medical tents. Biden investigated Turning Point instead of Antifa.
Do you hear that? Just even with that point right there, it is mind-blowing how... Look at this right here.
It says, he apologized.
Should he get out of the race?
Well, that's up to the people, the leaders in Virginia. They have said he has apologized. What I understand is...
What they're talking about is Jay Jones, the guy who was caught with these text messages. 3 people, 2 bullets, Gilbert, Hitler, and POT. Like, this is a candidate who they're saying, hey, he can still continue to run? He's a Democrat. And this is what Pelosi says.
Should he get out of the race?
Well, that's up to the people, the leaders in Virginia. They have said he has apologized. What I understand is they say that on balance, he's a better person to be Attorney General. But that's up to them. But I wish there would be enough fuss of all the times that people have said they were going to put a bullet in my head.
What Republican candidate said they ever wanted to put a bullet in Nancy's head?
Wow.
The only thing we want to put in Nancy's head is a good idea. They got mad when Trump said housewife, but they don't care when they say, let's kill Republicans' kids. What signal does that send to the Democrat base? No matter how violent and bloodthirsty you are, the party brass has your back. What does it say to the loons plotting to assassinate Kavanaugh? Transition into a woman and we'll give you a slap on the wrist. Democrats are just passing out permission slips. A guy with 200 homemade explosives packed in a tent was just arrested outside of a church in Washington, D.C. that was hosting a prayer service for Supreme Court justices. Officers told him to move his booby-trapped tent, and he threatened to lob a bomb, saying, I have 100+ of them. Then he told cops, your people are going to die from one of these. This is an annual event that Supreme Court justices usually attend, but this year they had to cancel their plans because of this guy. This guy almost wiped out half the Supreme Court in a church in our capital. But Democrats think ICE are the terrorists.
ICE went from deporting the worst of the worst to throwing grandmothers onto linoleum and zip-tying American children.
I'm telling you, it is just mind-blowing how much they will defend wrong. And again, this is as wrong as it gets, everybody. This is as wrong as it gets. But I believe things are changing. Things are moving in the right direction. We just got to continue putting out the truth. That's why we appreciate it so much whenever people share our videos, like our videos. If you're not a part of the family yet, please consider joining our family here at TrueLife News. If you don't mind doing us a huge favor of hitting the thumbs up like button. We want people to see the truth of what's going on and why we need change. I want to say thank you to everybody who is watching, to everybody who's given today. Thank you so much. Remember, on the 22nd of every single month, we donate live on stream to a local charity, to a local children's home, helping out innocent kids that are in bad situations of no fault of their own. And we want to be a part of helping them out. Want to give some special love to Bob Hellborn today, Melinda Johnson, Jim Barbado, Ted and Linda Thompson. Guys, 13 months being members. Show them some love in the chat. Our boy Jim, OG of the channel, Donna Upton. Show Donna some love in the chat. Skyrex Court, thank you so much for your support. Show Skyrex some love in the chat, as well as Joseph Williams, Jeffrey Hatt, OG of the channel, Doyle Alvin Knight, Danny, Robert Cash, thank you so much, brother. Said Jesus Christ is King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Amen. Our boy Andy and our boy Patrick Trebet, OG of the channel as well. Member, favorite GIF, my favorite GIF. I love it. Show them some love in the chat. Thank you so much, everybody. We appreciate you so much. We love you all and can't thank you enough for all your support. We'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.